So I'm recording now, Nicole. Hello, everyone. This is a brief tutorial that myself, Sanjay Khapche, and one of our accomplished students, Nicole Fee, have created to help us make scientific diagrams using PowerPoint only. Nicole is sat to my right-hand side. Nicole, are you ready? Excellent, excellent. So, when making scientific diagrams, listed here on this slide are a few general instructions. The first being that we choose PowerPoint as an easy to use tool for making composite diagrams. The diagrams do not have to be composites, they can be simple diagrams. When making a scientific diagram, one must always make the scientific diagram as one PowerPoint slide in one file, in a separate PowerPoint file. Your glyphs and your working should be in a separate PowerPoint file. The other instruction is that the diagram must be as big as you can make it, bearing in mind that these diagrams will be used in manuscripts, in theses, in reports, in presentations, and similar scientific outputs. I strongly suggest that your width be 16 centimeters, as that is the printed size on a less-sized page, and it can be as tall as need be, and roughly the height, the maximum height of a diagram on one page can be up to 21 centimeters. Your font size must be legible, and again, a strong suggestion is a strong recommendation is that you use Times New Roman font of size 24. Your diagram has to be extensible, as we will see in the upcoming work. You must make composite glyphs, but you should not make composites of anything that does not need to be a composite. And an important instruction is that for quality control, for high quality output, for all our presentations, our thesis, our manuscripts to be of a high specification, you should be willing to revise and re-revise all work. Research, as opposed to taught courses, is a process of continuous improvement. Research is never finished. In terms of color coding, you should use informative color coding, but you must not use redundant color coding. For example, you should refrain from making your backgrounds of any arbitrary color. Your backgrounds should always be white. Your diagrams must be clean, and there should not be any leftover redundant objects, even if they are hidden underneath other objects or even if they are invisible. Labeling is extremely important, as is important attention to detail, and you must have an eye for completeness, for elegance of scientific content and informativeness, as well as of presentability. And so to help, it got stuck. To help us make scientific diagrams, figures towards used interchangeably using PowerPoint only, this video will create a diagram that was previously deemed to be too complex. Some specifications will always be available for you to make your figure and diagram. And the assessment will always be objective. In today's case, the assessment it will be based upon whether all information that is provided in the template to be present in the diagram that you create. Secondly, your figure will be assessed based on how long it took you from start to finish. Thirdly, assessment is also based on whether your figure is complete, is legible, is elegant, and has a certain professional quality about it. Okay, and the final assessment is that whether you have applied some creativity to it to make the diagram look aesthetically pleasing. To make diagrams understandable and approachable is important in our communication process. Before we proceed, I would like to point towards some literature available. There are a couple of very elegant papers in PLOS Compute Biology that give you simple rules about creating figures. There's also a very brief video that I found, which very nicely explains to you how to use PowerPoint to make exceedingly sophisticated diagrams. So before we proceed, I would like to pause this presentation on the general instructions for 2 minutes for the benefit of our viewers. 2 minutes. Nicole, in your opinion, are these instructions fairly straightforward to understand?
Yes.
Thank you. And so, although I said 2 minutes, it's already been half a minute, and the interested viewers can scroll back to this slide in the video. And so moving on, before we start making our figure, before Nicole starts making the figure, these are the specifications that I came up with for the figure. These are fairly strict specifications, but they are not hard specifications. The overall aim is to reproduce the scientific information contained in the figure to make the figure professional looking and of high quality. So again, I will leave this figure online for half a minute.
Okay, good to know.
Yes, Keith.
No, I have a conference presentation. I'll find somewhere. Do you have another computer? Do you have another computer around here, Sanjay?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Right. So this slide has been online for close to a minute now. So we will stop with this slide. I will stop sharing. And now Nicole is going to start making the figure based on the instructions and guidelines provided in these 3 or 4 slides. Are you ready, Nicole?
Yes.
Thank you. Please share your screen whenever you're ready. So Nicole, let's walk through this process step by step. You can also provide a commentary if you so wish. And as I can see, Nicole has, as of now, open in front of herself 2 PowerPoint slides, one in which she will make the diagram and one in which she will make her glyphs. Nicole, could you please get rid of the template boxes provided in both slides, please? And And the next thing, in terms of specification, could you show us the figure that we are going to make today, if you found it? So as Nicole points out, we're going to make the top half of the figure that she's showing over here. The top half of the figure that she's showing over here. And therefore, Nicole is going to make her diagram slide. She's going to customize the size of the diagram slide, of the PowerPoint slide. And she's going to make the width of the diagram slide to be 16 centimeters in inches, as close as it gets to 16 centimeters, and round about 14 or 15 centimeters tall. And Nicole is now showing you how to specify the custom size of your diagram slide. Thank you, Nicole. At this stage, since your slide is blank, it doesn't really matter whether to scale up or scale down content. There is no content in the slide to show. And so now Nicole has expanded the slide so that she can see it throughout her view. And so Nicole, could you help us by tabbing to the figure to work out what we should draw first? I think the easiest object to draw in this figure are the two horizontal lines, which I propose you make nice and thick and of purple size. So the thickness of these lines should be 3 point, and the color of these lines should be purple, and they should be horizontal lines. As you can see from the figure, these lines should occupy around about the top 40% of the graph, of the PowerPoint slide even. Can we please use more space, Nicole? Thanks. Can we also take the right-hand side ends of the lines closer to the right-hand side edge of the slide? And we can take the bottom line a further below, please. And now we can take both lines a little bit downwards, because it looks like the figure has some content above the top purple line. So you can choose both purple lines and drag them downwards. I would think this is sufficient, Nicole. Thank you. Now, can we go back to the template figure that we have and decide on which next object to draw? Now, it looks like there are 4 sets of 6 cylinders each. And therefore, it's obvious that we should make one set of 6 cylinders, as shown in the top left-hand side of the template figure in our glyphs slide. Please make the edges of the cylinder nice and thick so that it is legible, and fill the cylinder with sufficiently contrasting color. So Nicole has now chosen to make one cylinder. And she might use this simple glyph to make a sophisticated glyph in a minute, a collection of 6 cylinders. Thank you, Nicole. Can you please now go and look in our template figure to work out what next we should do, please? Now it looks like there is a thick solid line that joins cylinder number 5 from left to right to cylinder number 6. As you can see, the solid line goes into the extracellular part. I know it is extracellular because it says so. And then it goes in between the two parallel purple lines that we've drawn, and finally goes and ends up on the 6th cylinder. So Nicole is now going to show us how to draw such a line between cylinder number 5 and cylinder number 6. So first she increases the space between cylinder number 5 and 6. Yep. And then she chooses an appropriate shape tool. Nicole, I believe the middle trough should be dragged more towards downwards. Thank you. And now she's going to make the line that she has drawn legible by making it 3-point. And unless there is a compelling reason, she will make the color of the line black. Okay. And I believe this is the first piece of the 4 sets of cylinders that she has now created. Now she's going to copy all of this and literally paste this somewhere to the left in between her 2 parallel purple lines in her diagram. Excellent. So for a first attempt, this is just fine. Nicole, I propose that you bring your purple line at the top a little bit below and your purple line at the bottom a little bit above. Nicole, please use your mouse buttons as well as your, please use your keyboard buttons as well as your mouse. So now Nicole might tab back to her template figure to work out what next she should be drawing. So Nicole, what do you suggest? Should we draw the bottom left-hand side line that says N, or should we draw the other 3 sets of cylinders?
Other 3 sets of cylinders.
So Nicole prefers to draw the other 3 sets of cylinders, and she's now going to show us how. I may stop the commentary and please do watch what she does. She has now tabbed back to her glyphs slide. And she's now going to change the line between the 5th and 6th cylinder. So Nicole, the line does not have to be exactly the same size. The functional importance is that it has to cross the purple line twice. So first is it goes out, then it goes in, and then it goes out and joins the 6th cylinder finally. Yeah. And for the sake of uniformity, this needs the same color and line thickness as your other lines. The general policy is that in one diagram, all lines should have the same thickness. Nicole, I propose that for now, we should leave the line as it is. We can do refinement in a minute, or tomorrow, or day after tomorrow. So Nicole has done the second of her 4 sets of cylinders. Yep. Nicole, I propose that rather than removing the line, she has chosen to do that. There we go. And this is perfectly acceptable. Notice how she is very carefully choosing all objects that she needs to choose. Nicole, I suggest that at this point, before we proceed, we choose all objects in your diagram slide and we pull them downwards 4 or 5 points using your down arrow key. More, 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 more. Thank you. Thank you. Now you can press in the white space and proceed to look at the template, what next we should be doing. What do you suggest that we do next, Nicole? So Nicole suggests that we draw the bottom left-hand side N terminus that says NSCATE and further out, which ends up with the capital N. And so we can go to the diagram slide. Now, as you can see, at this stage, we may or may not have sufficient space at the bottom left-hand corner of the correct object. And so at this stage, Nicole is going to use her creativity to make the N terminus fit into the space she's got. Nicole, it does not have to be an upside down semicircle. It can be a sideways semicircle if that's what makes it fit into your figure. You do desire some space between each of your 4 sets of 6 cylinders. You do need some space in between each of your sets of cylinders. And at this stage, she's going to now insert and use an appropriate shape to draw a suitable semicircle at the bottom of the leftmost cylinder. Excellent. Can we finish editing this thing, please, Nicole? Notice how all her lines are 3-point. And so now, unless she's going to do something else, I propose that we go and look at the template figure to see what next thing that we can be doing. Should we insert that massive gray ellipse that has a beta written on it. Yep. So Nicole is now going to insert the massive gray ellipse. There is a shape that is ellipse. A circle can be elongated to make it an ellipse. Yes. Let's use the space towards the bottom of the slide, Nicole. We have plenty of space towards the yeah. Yeah, and elongate this to make it deliberately an ellipse. Yeah, furthermore, more. Yeah, no, there's nothing else underneath this ellipse, Nicole. Okay, as you can see from the template figure, there's nothing else underneath this. That's right. There's nothing else there. So we are fully justified to use that space. And now Nicole is going to draw the edge of the shape as well as adjust the shading inside of this ellipse. And so again, the edge has to be 3-point. Those are the rules. Yep. Some light shade of gray, Nicole, that will do us just fine. We do not have to go overly complex on this. That's fine. You've drawn your ellipse now. Thank you. You've drawn your ellipse. Let's work out what next object we should draw. We should draw the CAM proteins that are inside the cell. Okay. Just to guide our progress, Nicole, would you like to draw that U in between the second and third sets of cylinders? In fact, why don't you draw the U's in between all sets of cylinders? So the first U goes into your gray ellipse, but the second and third U's do not touch anything else. The leftmost U between the first and second set of cylinders, yeah, touches your ellipse towards the bottom. Touches, in fact, it goes through your ellipse at the bottom. But the other two U's do not. Rather than an arc, Nicole, I suggest you use a spline. That's the one. That's the one. And please put down more points in the spline. You use many more points. This is going to be wonky. Can we start again with this spline, please? Yeah. So as you draw the spline, please use as many points as you can. That's right. That's right. Nice. Nice. And could you please stretch this U shape to go inside the gray ellipse? And now send this to the back of the ellipse. Please. That's right. Now let's draw the other two U's. Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Beautiful. Excellent. Okay. So what's the next thing that we should do, Nicole? We should draw the CAM joint proteins. Okay, fine. Let's go and do that. Now you can see that in the glyph that Nicole wishes to draw, she has two pink circles which enclose two purple circles. So she may or may not wish to make that glyph in her glyph slide before she draws it in her diagram slide. She does not have to. She can do what she wants. She should leave that glyph there. Nicole, leave that glyph there. There's a purpose why you created this glyph slide. Yeah. So this slide is just as valuable as your diagram slide. So we first make a nice and big purple circle. Or if you want, you make a purple circle instead of a pink circle. And this circle may or may not need a black border. Yeah. Pardon me for a minute. Hello, Anki. Have you spoken to Keith?
No.
So Keith, this is Anki Wang.
Hi, lovely to meet you.
She is one of the two user logins that you've created.
Okay,
So would you show her which computer she needs to use or whatever?
yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
Just over here, Andy.
No. So notice how Nicole has very carefully created these composites without needing to group anything, without needing to sort of make the next person's job any more difficult than is necessary. And now she's going to simply go and join these two pieces of CAM2. It's not CAM2, it's just CAM. Excellent. Nicole, can I suggest that we make the two circles that embed each other of two very contrasting colors? So if you've chosen purple for the bigger circle, choose a very light color for the inner circle. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's just fine. That's just fine. As long as there's a functional connection between the two circles, that's fine. And now she's going to put this glyph into her diagram. And there it is. And so now she's going to decide what next to do here. And now we are faced with the task of preparing a draft for the C-terminus, which is the massive long line on the right-hand side bottom of the diagram that she's indicating with her mouse. Nicole, please feel free to go ahead and create this C-terminus as you see fit. If you so wish, you can also provide us with a commentary, but do speak sufficiently loudly so that it can come on record. So she has very nicely put the C-terminus to her left-hand side so that she can see it all the time. And I believe right now, Nicole first needs the spline tool. Before she starts making the composites, she needs the spline tool first. So Nicole, that's right. So she needs the spline tool. Yeah. And now she's going to simply go and draw a long line to represent the C-terminus. As you can see, she's now running out of space in her PowerPoint slide, which she will very nicely manage to fit the C-terminus completely inside of the given space. Make it as long as you can go, Nicole, please. Thank you, that's plenty. Now this needs adjusting in size and shape, size at least, and color. Yeah. 3. Thank you. And on this C-terminus, she might now start putting each of her individual glyphs, which may be circles or squares or anything. Notice how she is very carefully adjusting the sizes of all her glyphs so that it all fits in very nicely. One suggestion, Nicole, is that these sub-glyphs in the diagram may not be relevant to what you're trying to argue about. But if you've made a red dot in the cylinder, that's fine. Excuse me for a minute. And so all of this has been created within the space of 45 minutes. And those 45 minutes included several minutes of introduction to this exercise. Nicole, in the interest of time, I propose that you put the end of the C-terminus as an empty circle, and we can move on with demonstrating the other pieces of figure making. And this is an empty circle. And that's right. And so at this stage, Nicole, please create a folder on your desktop called Fig4 using your Finder window. Please create a folder on the desktop. Finder, yeah, on your desktop. Please create a folder called Figure 4. Control click. You just write there, Figure 4, no spaces, Figure 4. Yep. Enter and open this folder by double clicking on it. And in this, you save both your PowerPoints as well as that paper that you found. Please.
Do you want a specific name?
Figure 4. Yep. And the other file is then called Fig4 glyphs. And in the same folder, you should also put this PDF of the template that you found. Yep. That's fine. You put it on desktop and you can move it to your folder in a minute. Yeah, we get the PDF. At the top, it says PDF. Yeah. You have to put your source template material with your work so that others know what you have done. And so Nicole, this PDF has downloaded to your downloads folder. You may wish to move this to your desktop or appropriate folder. You need to be closing the open PDF first. Or you may not need, that's right. You may wish to copy and paste it there. Yeah. Very neatly organized. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. Now we can proceed with the next step of making this figure. So Nicole will close the folder, close the PDF. She may or may not wish to keep the browser open. But we now go back to the browser, especially the figure 4, the template figure 4. You've minimized it. You don't have to open a new PowerPoint, Nicole. You've opened a copy of the thing paper. Nicole, could you please exit PowerPoint completely? And now deliberately open, that's right. And so keeping this open, let's look in the browser what the next step in making this figure is. You now have a PDF in your figure 4 folder at the top right-hand corner of your desktop screen. At the top left-hand, right-hand corner, you have a PDF there. Yep, you have a PDF there. Yep. Yep. And so you scroll to your, you make it nice and big so that your audience can see this. Drag the right-hand side, right ways. Yep, and bring it to the middle. And so can you suggest, Nicole, what you will do next? I would say you start with the 1, 2, 3, 4. And I suggest that you use one horizontal text box to write those Roman numerals, one each above each of your sets of cylinders. So this should be one text box. Okay. That's right. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, just write it the best you can. It doesn't matter how much space there is. 1. Those are Roman numerals, Nicole. So we should write I, and IV. And IV. Now, can you please make this writing to be Times New Roman 24 point? You can also write in there. No, and 24 point. Excellent. At this stage, you please do not move the text box now. So the left-hand edge of the text box must match the left-hand edge of this of the slide. So the left-hand edge of the text box must match the left-hand edge of the slide. That's right, that way. And the right-hand edge must match the right-hand edge. And now with your cursor and keyboard, you put the 1 above the first set of cylinders, the 2 above the second set of cylinders, and so on. Okay, yeah, well done. Now let's do the next set of annotation here. Perhaps you would like to write intracellular and extracellular. No. In the same text box, you write extracellular, intracellular. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So now first we make it Times New Roman to start. New Roman. Yeah. And 24 point. Yeah. Adjust the size of the text box. Now extracellular has to be somewhere out above the purple line. It doesn't matter how above. That's what extracellular is. It can be all the way to the above, all the way. You have some space at the top of your slide. That's right. And the intracellular has to be somewhere below the purple line. That's the way. Not all the way. You can. That's right. Just to give it a little bit of play, you can bring the 1, 2, 3, 4s closer to your cylinders if you so wish, Nicole. Closer, closer, closer. Yeah, and that's right. That's right. That should be plenty. That should be plenty. That should be plenty. What other annotations should we be doing? Let's do the Greek symbol beta in the gray ellipse. And for that, you might wish to insert a symbol, insert symbol, insert symbol. Yeah, and there you may find beta. Maybe to the left, maybe to the right, all the way to the top, all the way to the top. Okay, it's not there.
So are you, is your place in London?
At some place you will find the Greek symbols there. Yep, there we have it. It should be there somewhere. It's not. You've got an alpha, you've got a theta, you've got something. And in case you cannot find these special symbols, beta sounds a little bit like B, so just write a B there. That's right, and you put that B inside your gray ellipse. There you go. And you move on to the next thing that you can be doing. We can label the CAM protein. Yep. 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 Excellent. Yeah. At this point, Nicole, press on save. And let's go to your PDF and discuss this somewhat. Could you drag the right-hand side edge all the way to the right-hand side of your screen so that it becomes a bit bigger? Right-hand side, not like that, right? You literally drag the edge to the right-hand side. Press escape once. Yep, and you drag the right-hand edge of the PDF to the right-hand edge of your screen. That's right. And scroll to your figure 3 in this PDF, your template figure. Below. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Now we've drawn most of this figure, Nicole. Yes? We've drawn, we've provided some, not all, but some of the annotation. And right now, my wall clock is measuring 57 minutes. And so, please speak up, Nicole. If you are given this template figure, how long do you think will it take you to finish the annotation?
To make it better quality, it'd probably take 2 hours maximum.
So it's going to take you 2 hours more.
2 hours in total.
So, so Nicole's opinion is that if she spends 1 more hour on this figure, She is going to get her PowerPoint diagram as close to this template or even better quality than what we see in front of us. However, as of now, this is a Thursday afternoon, and I'm sure everyone has many, many things to do. And so at this point, I will stop recording. And that is a tutorial for how to make scientific diagrams using PowerPoint only. I thank Nicole for her time and effort. Thank you everyone for watching.